Bramble. Here we are again. Oh, hello everybody. Yes, hello my lovelies. Now, we're going to do something a little bit different today, aren't we, Mrs. Bramble?
Yes, we are.
Let me just get comfy in here. There we go. Hello everybody. So, as you can see, we're in Fort Bramble. Now, we got very, very excited as of this week, because obviously the kittens last week made their den, and we got a little bit jealous, didn't we, Mrs. Bramble?
Yeah, we did.
We thought, why should they have all the fun? So we thought we'd put our hand to den making, and we're quite proud, aren't we?
Yes, we are.
So we've made Fort Bramble, so tonight's story will be inside it. Now, again, we're going to do something even more different. Now, because we had to make Fort Bramble, technically this is still live, because you're the first people to see it. But we've had to pre-record this a little bit, because Mrs. Bramble surprised me today with something very tasty. Didn't you, Mrs. Bramble?
Yep, I did.
Do you want to tell the boys and girls what it was?
So while you were working in your tool shed, I was able to do a little bit of baking, and I made some banana bread.
You did, and we haven't tried it yet, so Mrs. Bramble's going to go and get us a slice in a second. Oh, why didn't you do that? And I'll explain the rest. Yeah. And then what we're going to do is show you how Mrs. Bramble made it, because she recorded herself doing it, which we thought was a really, really good idea. But yes, today's story we actually got a little bit of a hand with from I'll give you a clue, a fairy expert. Here's Mrs. Bramble now with the banana bread. Oh,
here we go. We're going to pop it down on the floor there.
And obviously, it's nearly our bedtime still, so we've made our hot chocolates, haven't we, Mrs. Bramble?
We have.
Oh, cheers. Oh, you get comfy.
Squeeze back in. There we go. Yeah.
Cheers.
There we go.
Oh, lovely. Now, Mrs. Bramble, why don't you cut us a slice of this wonderful cake?
There we go.
Oh, so exciting.
There we go.
Oh, that looks amazing. It smells so banana-y. It's lovely.
Yeah.
We had a couple of ripe bananas, didn't we?
Yeah,
so
we did.
Thought you would cook up a treat.
There we go.
Oh, look at that, everyone. Oh, it smells so good.
Lovely. Well, I'll pop that over there.
Let's have a quick taste test then. Oh, that's lovely.
I'm pleased with that.
Well, let's put that aside for now. And what we'll do is tell you our story. So, Mrs. Bramble, did you want to start?
So, the fairy expert. Our friend Lorelei, she's a fairy expert, and we spoke to her, didn't we?
We did.
We noticed that when we'd been out on our walks, we hadn't seen as many rabbits about. That's
it, exactly. And where this comes in is that we see quite a lot of fairy doors around the woods, don't we? Around the wildwood. And of course the fairies come out at night and they do their parties and their dance and their games when there aren't that many people around. Sorry, I'll let you carry on with the rabbits.
So the rabbits are obviously going to be very busy at the moment because it's Easter.
It is. Happy Easter, everybody.
Yeah, happy Easter. So the Easter Bunny's been busy delivering Easter eggs and has lots of other bunnies helping him.
Yeah.
And the fairies, they also get involved, don't they?
They do.
They try and lend a hand.
Yeah.
And
they bring the magic aspect.
Yeah.
They help him dash about and deliver his eggs and things like this, don't they?
Yeah. So we noticed that there weren't that many rabbits about.
It's true, yeah.
So we were just talking to Lorelei and we said, we noticed that there aren't that many rabbits about. Do you know anything about it? And she was like, oh yes, no, I do. There's the fairy hospital, and a lot of the rabbits, they've got so exhausted from all of this hard work, and because it's been so sunny recently as well, they've been out playing a lot.
They have.
So a few of them are in the fairy hospital, aren't they?
They are. They're being looked after by the fairy nurses and the fairy doctors, which is absolutely amazing. And luckily, we actually know whereabouts in the wild wood. We sent a picture to Lorelei's mummy and daddy and said, could you ask Lorelei what this is? And she said straight away, it's the fairy hospital. So we luckily now knew exactly where the fairy hospital was. So we thought we would do something nice, didn't we?
Yeah.
We thought, given that it's Easter and the Easter Bunny and the rabbits are always so busy, we thought we would give them something back and give something back to the fairy nurses and doctors as well, to say thank you for looking after them. So we gathered up all of these Easter treats, didn't we?
Yeah.
There were cookies. I think you made oatmeal and raisin cookies. And we took some Easter eggs as well to make them all feel better and say thank you. And of course, given that it's the rabbits, you made some carrot cake, didn't you? Which we did have a slice of, and it was very, very tasty. Which was very nice. Yeah, and it's always nice to do something to show someone how you appreciate them, isn't it?
Yeah.
And just the way that you've made me this cake today, which I think is very, very sweet. So yeah, we took all of those treats along and gave them over, and everyone was absolutely delighted to see us. And of course, we washed our hands and we made sure that we stayed apart from people as much as we could. And we had a quick cup of tea, and then we popped home, didn't we? Which was very nice. And interestingly, as we got home, there was a letter on our doorstep, and it was from the Easter Bunny, which was a bit of a surprise.
Yeah.
And the only reason that we bring this up is because the Easter Bunny, in his letter, has said that if people don't get their Easter eggs on time this year, he's very, very sorry. He doesn't mean to leave anyone out, and he hasn't forgotten about you, so it's absolutely fine, don't worry. He's just been a bit rushed off his feet recently with everything, and of course with all of his helpers in being looked after. He wanted to make sure that you were all okay, and he's also said that he will drop off any other letters to us. That means that we can hopefully deliver them to you. So if Mummy and Daddy want to get their letter from the Easter Bunny, just get in touch with us on our Facebook page, and we'll sort something out, won't we? Yeah. And then there was something else as well, wasn't there? This week, especially, we had a letter from some fairies, because some amazing children, Max and Lily, who live near us and near the Magic Wood, actually made a fairy door. Isn't that incredible? Yeah. They made a fairy door. And the fairies used it, but unfortunately someone had taken it down. Yeah, which was a little bit sad for them. But luckily, we know the specific fairies that actually came through. And they dropped us a letter, which we then managed to get to Max and Lily's daddy. And we hear that they really, really liked the letter. The letter was just thanking them for making the door. And not to worry, sometimes people can be a little bit silly sometimes, but it shouldn't affect, you being creative and kind and imaginative. So keep at it, because the fairies really, really liked it.
Yeah.
So what we're probably going to do now is have the rest of our cake. We're going to show you Mrs. Bramble's recipe on how to make it. And we hope that you enjoyed tonight's story. Thank you to Lorelei for giving us a hand with that. We couldn't have done it without our fairy expert. No. And thank you to everyone for watching. We've had a lot of fun again. And we're going to settle down pretty soon, probably inside Fort Bramble, to go to sleep. We'll see you all again next week. We hope that you've enjoyed it. Night, everybody.
See you soon.
See you soon. Bye now.
Hello everyone. So, Mr. Bramble is down at the bottom of the garden, and he's doing a little bit of work in his tool shed. So I thought while he was doing that, I would bake him a little bit of a surprise. So, we had some very, very ripe bananas. So I thought I'd give a go at doing some banana bread. So, I'm just going to wash my hands, because that's the most important thing to start off with. I have already started to preheat the oven. I'm fairly sure that I'm preheating it to about 180 degrees, but I'm just going to check in a moment once I finish washing my hands. So, giving them a good wash, I'm going to just dry them off, and then I will just take a look at the oven very quickly just to make sure it's definitely 180 degrees. we go, it just needed to be turned up just a touch. So, now that I've done that, I have done some pre-prep to make this a little bit easier to follow. So I have a £2 loaf tin here, and what I've done is I have cut in some greaseproof paper or some baking paper in there, and before I put it in, I actually buttered just inside of the pan. So using a bit of butter on a bit of kitchen towel, just to grease that up a little bit so that it comes out a little bit easier all at the end. So first off, we need to. I've got some butter here. It's 140 grams of butter I've got, and I'm just going to add that into our bowl, and I've just softened that a little bit so that it's easier to do this first step. So we're going to cream 140 grams of softened butter with 140 grams of caster sugar. So to do this, we want to press down with the spoon. Now I haven't done this in a while, so this might take me a little bit of getting used to. Do try and get to do some baking every now and again, but sometimes we do end up buying from Fred, the bread baker, because he does do other cakes and pastries. We do like a sweet treat every now and again. Got some hot cross buns from him for this week. So that's already looking quite creamed, which is good. So I think we might nearly be ready for our next stage, which is, let me have a look at my notes. So this is pretty light and fluffy, I'd say. So we need to slowly add 2 beaten large eggs with a little bit of flour. So I have beaten some eggs already in this bowl, so we need to slowly add them. So I'm going to add just a little bit there and try and just stop it from running. You've got to be careful with eggs because raw eggs are not very good for you if you end up eating them. So I'm just going to quickly wash my hands again. There we go. Just giving them a quick wash, get rid of that. Dry off my hands again. So we need to slowly add them with a little bit of the flour. So I might just drop a little bit, there we go, of flour in there as well at this point. I'm just going to mix them around. Mix them all together. Try and catch any bits of sugar and cream that got out the side of the bowl. Sugar and butter even got out the side of the bowl. There we go. I think we're probably ready for some more eggs. Pour them in. Just try and stop it from dripping. There we go. Continue to mix that. Let's see what's next. Once we've put in the 2 beaten eggs, I'm going to be folding in the remaining flour that we've got. So I'll drop in this last little bit of egg that we've got and pop that on the side there. Just mix it in a little bit more. So I've got measured out 140 grams of self-raising flour. So I've got that just here. I might just mix that a little bit more. Just give that a little bit more welly. Try and break up some of that butter a little bit more. There we go. Nearly there. Get some of those lumps out so it's not too lumpy when it goes into the bake. There we go. So now I'm going to fold in the remaining flour, so I'm going to pour it in and then use this technique of going around the bowl and then cutting across and going around and cutting across. And hopefully that should just fold it all in. So if you want to do this, I'm talking to mostly the children here, if you want to do this, then what I'd advise is that you get an adult to help you out with doing this. because obviously the oven does get very hot, and you've got to make sure that you're doing everything just right. So I'm also now going to add in some baking powder. So we've got a teaspoon of baking powder, so I decided not to measure this out earlier because it was just a teaspoon. So there we go, got a teaspoon of baking powder that I've just dropped in there. I'll start folding that in a second. There we go. Just fold that in. Quite sticky now. There we go, I think that's folded in. And then finally we need to add in our mashed banana. So I'm just going to pull that in. There we go, try and get as much of it as possible. I'm going to fold that in as well. Oh, it's smelling very banana-y now. Do you like a good bit of banana bread? I'm hoping that Mr. Bramble will enjoy it too. So continue to fold that in until it's really, really well mixed, until you've got your banana really well mixed. There we go. Now, we need to do the bit that I often find the most complicated, and that is pouring it into the tin. So, what we need to be very careful of is that we don't get any on the side and that the baking paper doesn't come out of the baking tin. So that's often where I find that I have a problem. So there we go. That's going well. There we go. Right, I'm going to try and scrape out as much as possible of this mixture. Lovely. Oh, got a little bit on the side there. Never mind. I will wipe that up in a minute. Nearly there. I'm just going to get a spoon, extra spoon, just to get some of the remains of the mixture off of our wooden spoon, to get as much of it in there as possible. Let's see what I can get. There we go. Excellent. So, now that we've poured it into the tin, I'm going to bake this for about 30 minutes. When you're ready to take it out the oven, you want to have a skewer. A metal skewer is good, or if you don't have a skewer, then maybe a knife. And you pop it through the top, somewhere in the middle, and when you pull it out, you'll see whether it's clean or not. If it's clean, then it's ready to be pulled out and to cool. If it's not, then just leave it in for a little bit longer, keep an eye on it, and it should be baked pretty soon. And then once I've got this out, I'm going to leave it to cool for 10 minutes in the tin, and then I'll pop it out of the tin onto a wire baking, one of those wire racks, and then it should be ready. So I will pop this in, and hopefully Mr. Bramble will get to enjoy this later.
Hello, Mrs. Bramble, you okay?
Oh, quick, I better get it gone.